this is sort of meet the characters kind of talk, but secondary characters are so fun. It sometimes becomes some of our favorites. And I wanted to read a snippet from the Cedric series from Artemis, Eye of Gaea, because I introduce a legendary figure, Wizard Manannán from Irish folklore in here. I also have introduced through since book 1 a side character called Nyctimus, who is like Roma Santa's right-hand man. And then we have Finn, who is a werewolf in this, and Cedric's interaction with everyone. He's such a he's grumpy. He's grumpy, and everyone feels like sunshine compared to him. But Manannán is like this mischief, very happy-go-lucky bard guy, and like jester colors almost. Like it's like Cedric calls him a peacock because he's purple and green and blues and yellows. So I want to read this scene because it really showcases the importance when people meet new characters within a story, even 4 books in, and the interaction of how much it reveals about your main character. So we've seen Cedric angry, we've seen him hungry, we've seen him in different aspects up till now and fighting. This is a little bit of what Cedric's like outside of that, right? Surrounded by both familiar people and people who annoy him at the same time. And there's almost a level of humor undertone to this. So here we go. This is from Artemis. It's a fun scene. This is Manannán. A coy smile formed on his face, and he avoided making eye contact as he slid his fingers on the neck of the lute. Gaea has interfered with my business one too many times. She doesn't like charitable folks. As for the dwarves, we've got to get across Magrain and head west to Magmore. Forgive me, my Gaelic is non-existent. What is Magmore? Cedric couldn't deny he favored the other world and its rather blunt naming system. Grand Plain, Manny replied. And once we hit this plain, exactly how do you intend on getting us to the dwarves? Cedric scratched his temple, the trees clearing to reveal a boat with a bow made of solid brass. Well, about that. Manny's lute vanished as he slid down the steep embankment leading to the water's edge. We'll have to travel by foot unless we can commandeer mounts of some kind. Cedric followed close behind him, but came to a halt. A thickly muscled, dappled gray horse came into view. It shook its black mane, flashes of green bulrushes, catching a light as water sprayed from the motion. If Barushka had been there, they would have been the same height and build. It cantered on top of the water until it met Manny on the shore. Patting his nose, the horse snorted Manny's hand off and neighed at Cedric, bearing canines. It made Cedric shake his head, blinking his eyes. Is that a Kelpie? He couldn't hide the impressed tone in his voice. Smirking, Manny sidled and gave a proper introduction. This is Ombar, a longtime friend of mine. The beast snorted sea foam from his nostrils and a voice fell from it. I've told you, we're not friends. This is temporary until I can repay my debt for freeing me from Murphy Castle. I've told you, you owe me nothing, Manny scoffed, rubbing his forehead. I will pay it back. Another massive shake of mane sent an eruption of sea foam flying. As the clumps fell to the ground, a thin and pale figure stood in the place of the Kelpie. The intense, stare-naked body revealed Imbar had no gender. The flat planes contradicting being wholly male or female. The long-lashed purple eyes were hypnotizing above masculine sunken cheeks, riding over a thin cupid's bow lips, only obscuring the alignment further. It fascinated Cedric to see a creature who had no desire to choose, or perhaps Kelpies never needed to identify themselves as either, content with what they were and fierce. He locked eyes with Ingvar, and they hissed, just as fang-heavy as the equine form. "Do you insist on making every magical animal shapeshift to human form?" Cedric fussed at Manny. The wizard laughed, throwing up his hands. "Kelpies have always been able to do that. How else would they lure someone like you to the lake in order to drown and eat you? I recommend staying clear of its mouth in either form." Cedric huffed, waiting for the others to catch up. It wasn't long before they heard the cracking of twigs, the other four coming down the bank. Cedric crossed his arms, gauging the expressions of his companions. It seemed everyone had their eyes on the bulky brass ornament of a boat that would be their way of travel, except Finn. If he had a tail, it'd be wagging. His eyes were on a different item. Finn's eyes were wide with excitement, his eyebrows raised high on his face. He puffed out his chest with a wide grin. The gait shifted to a march. And before he could pass Cedric reached out and gripped his arm, throwing him back a few steps. Cedric sidled in his way and snorted. A scowl ruined the playful stare. "Out of my way, pup," Finn demanded. "Oh, no you don't, Fenrir." Cedric narrowed his eyes. "I can feel the lust coming out of you. It's not interested." "How do you know?" he growled, the sound still menacing as ever as it rolled from his chest. "I will greet her and—" Cedric interrupted him. "It'll eat you, you damn mutt. That's a Kelpie." Finn blinked, confused, as he sniffed the air and Cedric covered his face. "Oh, it is a Kelpie. Let's try not to hump everything in sight now that you have a human body." Cedric spun around, walking away. "How else does one build a proper harem?" Finn marveled. Roma Santa approached, landing a heavy hand on his friend. "Let's just try to get back what I've lost, and maybe you can ask Nyctimus how he did it." "It's not a harem," Nyctimus snorted, brushing past Roma Santa with a smirk. "They just so happen to live under the same roof is all." "Harem," shouted Cedric over his shoulder, chuckling. "It's a harem," Roma Santa concurred. "Not one of them is my slave," Nyctimus defended, his posture stiffening. "But you have slept with many of them, yes?" Finn cut in, and everyone fell silent. With the weight of the eyes on him, Nyctimus's face turned red. "I'm not going to discuss my private life with the likes of you all." He motioned to push up his glasses on his nose, but he'd lost them long ago and flustered over it. Cedric locked eyes with Roma Santa, both nodding. "Harem." So that's one of my favorite moments I've written in this one. But it shows that even though Cedric gets frustrated and seems always annoyed about the company he keeps, there's some part of him that is enjoying getting to know these people, and though he may not call any of them friends outright and confess to being friends, he definitely enjoys their company and being on journeys with them and would happily join them again and again. So this is one of many journeys in the Cedric series. We're up to book 5. I cannot wait for books 6 and 7 because I've got so many fun things, and we're eventually going to see the underworld. So from there we're going to keep going, guys. So thank you for visiting and meeting some of my characters today.